What's up, guys? So we're gonna be doing something just a little bit different in this video. I was scrolling Facebook the other day and saw that somebody named Garrett Mitchell posted that the Freedom Factory was going to be looking for several more Nissan Altimas to take part in their brand new Altima 600 race. Now, you guys may not know Garrett Mitchell, but you may know him by his other name, Cleetus McFarland. So we viewed this as a huge opportunity to go and have some fun, hopefully meet some people and all of that good stuff. So we decided to take a leap of faith, start running around and try to track down an Altima so that we can meet all the requirements to be able to take part in the Altima 600 at the Freedom Factory. So after several days of scouring junkyards, I found one. I found a two-door 2.5, which is a 4-cylinder, so it'll be a little bit slow. But just like every other Altima that's in a junkyard, it either had a motor problem or a transmission problem. Lucky for us, I found one that had a good motor and another one that possibly has a good transmission that will work. If that's the case, then we're going to be able to pick up this car, swap the transmission, and have everything we need to be able to go and take part in this race, which I think will be an absolute blast. So I'm hooked up to the trailer. We're about to load up. They've got the car ready for us to pick up. We're going to go head over, get that picked up, get it back, and we're going to see what we got. All right, guys, there she is. Looking pretty dang good, if I do say so myself. There's a few things missing. Missing the core support, missing the radiator, headlights. We got another parts car that we've rounded up that's a two-door that we'll be able to get all that stuff off of. But honestly, man, just look at that joker. Got wheels, tires, and there is our parts transmission sitting right there. So we're really hoping that it's good. But this car has a good motor and apparently ran really, really good. They were driving it every single day until one day transmission just decided it wasn't going to go in gear, so it didn't work. But we got a full interior, all of that. It is an automatic, which concerns me just a little bit. These cars have the CVT transmission, which is notorious for going out. Alrighty, guys, so we got the Altima back to the shop. I have not heard this thing run yet, so I had to grab a couple things while I was there. The fusible link that goes on the hot wire for the battery, somebody took that off. That seems to be common with these cars. That gets taken off and then people do whatever with it. So I grabbed another one of those. So the only thing I need to do is throw a battery in here and then hope that the battery in the key fob is good and this thing should fire up. It does not have an exhaust manifold on it. I have to go get that from the parts car over at the other yard, but I want to crank this thing up long enough that I can actually try to put it in gear and see if it does anything with the current transmission that's in it, because I have no idea the whole story on this. So that's what I'm going to do right now, is go ahead and throw that thing on, get the battery in there. We'll fire it up, and hopefully it tries to do something in gear. If so, we may not have to replace the transmission. We might be able to do a little bit of work to it, but we'll find out. I have no idea. All right, so we got our fusible link in there. That is not pretty, but I don't have one the right size. But this is just for testing purposes. It's not going to stay that way. This battery is also not great. It doesn't fit in there awesome. But again, we're missing the exhaust manifold, missing a couple other little things. But this is going to be good enough to crank it up and just like look, you know, and kind of get an idea. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and get in the driver's seat, and then hopefully it does something. That's a good sign. We have beeps. Let's see. I went ahead and stuck the key in a little hole right there because I don't know if the battery's good or not, but okay, it says take the key out. I don't know if that's okay. I guess it's just as a warning to get, you know, like if you're getting out of the car. All right, so I couldn't get a good connection with it like that because of the way the battery fits in there and all. So we got the jump box hooked to it. The light is green. Battery is beeping. So we should, or the car is beeping. So we should be able to get this thing to start up if it's going to. All right, we go. The way our battery fit in there, we weren't able to make a good connection. So we're gonna improvise. It's not stupid if it works, okay? So now we can get in the car and see if it's gonna do anything and then just hope for the best. All right, we got our key. Let's press the button. Huh. I had to resort to getting the battery charger on my jump box. I guess it's quit. So it's not working. We got a battery, now a charger on 200 amps. So hopefully we can get in this sucker, press the button, and it'll do something. No, change of plans. I went and took the battery out of our free Civic and put in here and then hooked the battery charger to it. And that is a good battery, much better than the one that was in here. So this one should do a little bit better. We're gonna try this one more time, see what it'll do. Oh, hey, it runs. See what it'll do if I put it in gear. So the car started up and I got a little bit of response when I put it in gear, but the throttle pedal is not responding at all. That could be something to do with the fact that the exhaust is not hooked up. There's a lot of stuff up front that's not hooked up. So I'm gonna take our trusty little Harbor Freight scanner and turn on the key, hook this thing up, and hopefully it'll tell me a little something. I hope it's something simple, and hopefully it's just the fact that some of that stuff's not hooked up. So I guess that's what we're gonna do now. We'll find out. Bro, if it ends up that we don't have to replace the transmission in this sucker, that's gonna be a big deal. So we'll see. I hooked the scanner up to it and it's throwing the code for transmission fluid pressure sensor. I did a little bit of research and apparently will cause the transmission to have issues, but it is definitely doing more than he said it was going to. He said that one day they got in this thing, put it in gear, and it just wouldn't move at all. When I put it in reverse, it moved backwards. When I put it in drive, it pulls forwards. So it's doing more than he said it was going to. So hopefully it's something simple like that pressure sensor. Then we don't have to worry about changing the transmission and we'll have a spare in the event that we need it. I'm not gonna be able to do anything else today. Obviously, it's missing a lot of stuff up here. I called another yard. They told me to come and pick up the parts car to bring back to the shop so I could swap over everything that I need to swap over. So that way this thing is 100% put together and ready to go. So I'm gonna go first thing in the morning to pick that up, come back. We're gonna be getting to work on getting this thing back together like it needs to be. So that way we can take it on a drive and get it up to operating temperature and then hopefully figure out if the transmission is gonna give us problems or not. So hard to say right now, but that's what we found so far. So I'm gonna call it a day on this thing today, and then in the morning we'll go get that, and then we've got a lot of work to do on our hands. And I haven't mentioned that as of today, we've got 7 days to get this completely wrapped up and ready to go. So a lot of work to do, not a whole lot of time to do it in, but luckily, I don't think it's gonna be too bad. So got a parts car, got our car, should have everything we need to get this thing 100%. So I'm gonna call it a day. We'll see you guys back tomorrow. All right, guys, we're out here at the junkyard. We're grabbing our parts car right there. I don't know if you guys can see it. Hopefully it's showing up. It is a complete car minus wheels and tires right now. So got a good motor. It's supposed to have an okay transmission. We're not 100% sure, but it's got the radiator, core support, and all that stuff that we need for our car actually on it. So we're gonna get it loaded on the trailer, get it back to the shop, and then we're gonna sit the two cars side by side so that we can actually start stripping the parts car, moving everything over to our car, and hopefully have that thing 100% here very soon. You can see it a little bit right there. It looks pretty good. Looks almost as good as ours, except it's got a front end on it. Got the parts car back here. We are missing a couple of things that we still needed, like the exhaust manifold.
Yeah, that is one thing we do need for sure.
Have to have it. I was thinking there was one on this car because whenever I looked at it the other day, I'm pretty sure it was there. So I guess somebody has got to it since then, but it's fine. We've got a couple other options. We can go and grab one. I know I saw one somewhere, so I know we'll be able to find one. So no big deal. We'll get that, but we also have the front bumper cover, headlights, everything that we need, radiator, all of that to be able to move from this car straight to that car.
Literally, it's just this entire section right here.
This whole section. There's one little problem with this car that I didn't realize until we were trying to unload it off the trailer. The rear parking brakes are stuck, son.
Yeah, so you could tell that we had to drag it off and it was not pleasant.
Not pleasant. So we're gonna have to figure that out, but since we have everything sitting right here, we do have to take this parts car back after we get everything off of it that we need. So we're gonna go ahead and get it pulled off and swapped over. I don't think it's gonna be too bad. This bumper cover obviously pretty much just pops off. You pull some pins or some clips and then you just pop that off. And then it looks like that core support just bolts right there on the front, and the radiator and all is attached to that. So it should be pretty much just take those bolts loose, slide it over, bolt it back in. We're gonna move our headlights over, and then a couple other things that are up in here. We're missing this on the other car, so that's kind of causing it to run a little bit rough. But yeah, for the most part, it's just a few little minor things here and there we have to move over, aside from the core support. That's kind of a major component. But
yeah.
We'll get that unbolted and move it over. And as long as this serpentine belt is good, we're going to slide that over there too. Because
this is literally a race car on a budget.
This is a budget race car. We are going to do the Altima 600 on like $500, a junkyard car.
Honestly, I'm sure a lot of people are doing buying a cheap Altima, but I don't know if they're going to this extent, of anything.
It was buy the car and build it in just a few days to be able to go and play and hope that it holds up.
Yeah, because right now it is Friday the 14th. It is Valentine's Day.
It's Friday.
And the race is on the 22nd.
It is. So we've only got a few days to get this done and get everything dialed in, because we still have some other stuff we're going to do to that car, but we have to get it to where it'll run and drive first, dependably. So got a lot to move over, so we're going to get to work on that. Hopefully here pretty quick we've got everything hooked back up, but I really don't think it's going to be that bad of an undertaking, but we've said that before. Answer.
Oh, okay.
Pliers.
Yeah.
transmission cooler lines.
Brother, we're this much closer.
This much closer. We are almost completely disassembled everything on here to put on that car.
I know, like, we got this hooked up, or not hooked up, but like all mocked up in front of the car. And this car's starting to look like this one. This one's starting to look like that one.
It is. Won't be long. We'll have that joker put right together, and we're going to test it to see what the transmission's going to do. I have no idea, to be honest with you, with that parking brake being stuck, because he said that one day they put it in gear, it just wouldn't move. And I'm kind of wondering if the parking brake was stuck then.
Honestly, I thought about that when I was in the car when we mentioned that the e-brake was earlier when we pulled the car off the trailer. I was thinking about that.
That would be kind of crazy for that to be the problem. But because he told me yesterday, I did get a little more of the story. He told me yesterday that he bought this car as a junk car. Turned out it ran and drove, so he gave it to his daughter. Well, when they got in it one day and it wouldn't move, they just junked it. He didn't look at it. He didn't try to figure anything out. He was like, whatever, junk. And he just threw it away. So it could be that the e-brake was just stuck, or it still could be that it has a bad transmission. But when I put it in gear, it tries to move. So but we know it's not going to move because the brakes are stuck so bad, even the truck wouldn't pull it off the trailer. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it definitely could be. Who knows? We won't know until we go into that and kind of figure all that out.
Minus the bumper being on there, this thing looks just about complete.
Looks almost complete, but there are still a few things missing. We had to swap over more than we thought. I didn't realize the AC compressor was gone, and obviously we need that for the serpentine system. Missing the exhaust manifold. I was hoping there was one on that car, but there's not. We gotta have that. We gotta have a coolant reservoir. We have to have the little boot that goes right here. I think it's a boot. I don't remember exactly, but I'll look at another car over there. We have to have an alternator. Somebody robbed the alternator, as well as the wiring that goes to it, so we'll have to have that. So you texted me a list of things.
And this little attachment too.
Yeah, we started thinking about it and realized that that's where the coolant actually goes in from the reservoir, so we got to get that as well. But other than that, we pretty much have everything. We have working power windows, it'll crank and run, all that stuff. So that's the last couple things we're missing, and then we'll be able to actually go and work on getting those. We got to get the brakes unstuck.
Yeah, we got to get the brakes unstuck and air up these tires.
We do. And
see if they at least hold some air.
They will. They will. So they were aired up yesterday, so they will hold a little bit. But got to get those few things, and then we can get the brakes taken care of, try to test drive this thing and see what it's going to do, and hopefully it does well. If not, change the transmission, and then we'll see. So we're going to make another junkyard run, take the parts car back because we're done with it, and see what we can find.
Well, it's the next day.
It's the next day. But
a lot has happened.
A lot has happened. We have a header, O2 sensors, an alternator, serpentine belt, coolant, and we just added some transmission fluid because this thing was low and it was throwing a code for the transmission fluid pressure sensor. I'm hoping that the reason it was throwing that code was because the fluid was low and so it wasn't getting a reading. But I'm also hoping the reason it wasn't going into gear was because there was no pressure to put it into gear. So I'm hoping that's how this works. I have no idea. So now that all that's done, I'm gonna crank it, put it in gear, and see what it's gonna do, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but I mean, nearly everything in this engine bay is just about done.
We're pretty much done, minus figuring out if the transmission works or not. But there again, we have the brakes that are stuck. That still has to be taken care of. But first, we gotta get this joker where it doesn't go into limp mode as soon as you pull it down in gear, which is what it's doing right now. But I think that's because of the transmission fluid. Maybe it's a protection thing. I have no idea. But
let's find out.
And one way to find out. How'd it go in gear? Hold up. Let's read the codes.
No, not a bad little car for a junkyard car, dude.
Not bad at all. And it sounds really good.
It's like healthy.
It's an open header right now. So until we get the exhaust hooked all the way up, we won't really know. But it does sound pretty dang decent as it is.
True. You can feel it in your soul.
You can feel it in your soul. Transmission fluid pressure sensor. So we're going to do this. Yes. And then, crank it again. I'm going to check the fluid while for one that's been sitting in the junkyard for a while.
Yeah, I'm surprised when cool packs and everything is still there and still good.
Yeah, because the other cars we looked at, all that stuff was gone.
Yeah, they're actually pulled out and had water inside.
Yeah, so it was rough, but we're looking good so far. We're gonna get a little more coolant in here, and then I'm gonna check the transmission fluid one more time, and then we'll just kind of go from there. But we'll say that now that we've actually topped this thing off with fluid, we can pull it down in reverse. I can feel it kind of lurch backwards. Pull it down and drive. I can feel it lurch forward. So it's doing a lot more than he was saying that this car would do whenever they actually initially junked it.
But we don't know anything until we get them brakes unlocked.
That's it. Because even like, I got to give it these parking brakes. Like they're ridiculous. Like we tried to push this thing off the trailer. They weren't budging. We hooked another truck to it and pulled it off the trailer. They still weren't budging. So
that was sketchy.
They're serious. So we're going to have to go ahead, just pop those back tires off, pop the rear rotors off, and then just take a look at those and see if we can get it to break loose. If not, we'll just remove the inner pads and be done with it, because then there's nothing that can hold it.
Yeah, honestly, we just need to be able to disengage that e-brake.
Yep.
That way we can get this thing rolling around under its own power.
Yep, figure out if it's going to drive, figure out if it does have a transmission problem, because the only way to find that out is for us to get it on the road and drive it.
Yeah.
Or see if it'll go into gear sitting here. If it'll go into gear sitting here, then we'll try to drive it. But until then, we know absolutely nothing, because it physically cannot move because of the parking brakes. So
yeah.
We're going to check a couple more things, and then we'll start taking back tires off, checking brakes, and go from there.
Do it again. It's trying, bro.
It's trying. It's those back brakes are stuck, and this thing is going into limp mode. I cannot figure out why, though.
Oh, once we get it dry and everything, we can get on the lift and take it to CJ's, and we can figure stuff out from there too.
Yeah. What we might, if this thing goes into gear though, and it'll actually move, what we're probably going to do is move this thing up there and jack it up and go ahead and put that other piece of pipe on it, hook up that other O2 sensor, and see if that makes a difference.
Yeah.
Because it's still throwing a code for that temperature or the transmission fluid pressure sensor. I'm not sure why. I've cleared that several times, but it keeps coming back. So I don't know if that'll cause problems or not, but it's definitely going into limp mode, and I'm not 100% sure why. So we'll have to figure that out. But it's definitely trying to go into gear, and it feels strong.
Yeah. Now that we got some transmission fluid put in there,
yeah,
dude, a 9-day difference from before.
Yeah, it's building some pressure. So we're going to go ahead. I'm not going to mess with anything else. I'm going to go ahead and jack the sucker up, get these wheels took off, try to get the brakes to turn loose, and then we're fixing to figure out what exactly this thing is capable of, figure out if it can move itself around, and then if we can't figure out the limp mode issue, fine, CJ will be able to. He's got several other computers, whereas we've only got this little handheld thing.
Yeah, he's got the Alto.
But I'm feeling really confident that we've got a solid race car for the Altima 600.
A race car.
Race car. Dude, I'm excited about this event. I have been hoping and praying that this would work out. And right now, everything is looking extremely positive. I will say I am a little concerned because everything has gone a little too smoothly.
And if anybody knows what Coop's house is about, when things go too smoothly,
it's horrifying.
Something bad is going to happen.
Something bad is going to happen. But we're going to let this thing cool off. We're going to go ahead and get it jacked up, get these back tires snatched off, take a look at these brakes, figure out what's going on with that. And then we're going to start looking toward a test drive. So here's hoping. Like I said, things have gone way too smooth so far.
Let's take these things off before we talk to more.
I'm not going to say anything.
Oh, we got this pulled off. Finally got the rotor off.
Yeah.
And we may have found the culprit.
May have found it. I know you can't really tell on camera right there, but that's a piece. That is like little bitty fibers off of the pad. You can look at the pad right here and tell. Maybe. But there's a chunk going out of the pad right there. And it was stuck inside the rotor. So I guess what was happening was the pad that was on the rotor was catching in that little hole there. And it was just keeping everything from turning. Like, when I picked it up and I got a hold of the wheel, I couldn't even turn it like by hand using the wheel. So it was...
this one was locked up. Like 100% locked up.
For sure. This is the only one we've checked. We haven't looked at the other side yet, but basically I've got some 120 and I've got a screwdriver and I'm scraping all this off and then I'm gonna stick it back up there and turn it. It is better now, I will say. I can put it up there and just kind of roll it around, but that's not to say that, you know, it won't stick again. So what we're gonna do is clean it up, put it back on there, pull the e-brake, and then see if it'll actually release. And yeah, that'll tell us a lot.
Because if you look at the e-brake, you can pull it up just about halfway before it even decides to engage.
Yeah, so it was definitely stuck, like wide open. So I think that was probably a big part of the problem. But like I said, won't know till we put it back together and start taking a look at things. But I think that was 100% our problem.
Yeah, I mean, we're still going to check the other side just to be safe.
Just to be safe.
But I mean, because that took, what, 5 minutes?
Yeah, it wasn't bad.
Yeah.
But it took longer to take the caliper off than it did to find the problem and actually start cleaning everything up. So I think here in a few minutes, we'll know.
Yeah, so we're going to get to this, and then we'll update y'all here in a bit.
Yeah.
All right. So we got the tires aired up.
It is the literal moment of truth.
Okay, and the other side was actually able to free spin once we jacked it up.
Yes.
So
it was not stuck. So
yes.
it was literally one side of the e-brake that was keeping this thing from moving.
Yeah, so we didn't even bother taking that wheel off. I mean, if it does cause a problem, we'll take care of it when it comes, but hey, moment of truth is right here.
It is. Everything is as it should be. Obviously, mine is putting the bumper cover on here. But the hood's down, bro.
Yeah, and the air box.
But
other than that, we're not worried about that just yet.
Cold air.
Cold air.
Cold air.
Maybe.
I ain't gonna lie, I'm a little nervous. But
hey,
I'm hoping for the best.
Get your butt in there, turn it on, and back this joker up, son.
Find out, boy.
Hey, you good there, bud?
Door panel stuck.
Oh.
Good.
Altima problems. And
we're good.
In typical Altima fashion, there's no bumper.
No bumper cover. There's a $500 bonus if somebody wins without a bumper cover.
Huh.
We'll need to let the old window down for this one.
It's so loud. This guy. No, there's no shot that dude about to hit the Civic, bro. Don't hit the Civic. What are you doing?
That was close.
I didn't even know you was gonna do that, bro.
Brakes work.
Yeah, so the inner fender on this wheel too, we probably need to like push away from that tire. Yeah, because it's actually getting smoked, sort of.
It's fine.
It's fine.
Hop in. Let's go see if this thing will shift.
I bet.
Bet.
Hey, this thing looks pristine in here, bro.
It's a whole interior, dude. Not very often we work on something that's all the way put together pretty much.
And outside of the shop.
Yeah, at the yard. Humble beginnings.
Humble beginnings.
It's not doing a whole lot, so it's definitely struggling somewhere.
Yeah.
I'm not 100% sure where or why.
Don't know, but it is missing an O2 sensor. So that's a possibility. And it's still throwing that one code too for the transmission pressure sensor.
Yeah, see, like right here, it's in gear and it'll work fine, but it's just not letting me. But if I shut it off and turn it right back on, it works fine. See that? But like,
yeah.
Oh, it slipped a little bit. Yeah, it's like just that. Once it gets rolling, the RPMs, it'll run on up. So it may be that other O2 sensor not being hooked up.
Yeah, Oh my god, dude.
Race car?
I'm glad the brakes work in this thing. Maybe. Oh my god!
Brakes work.
The brakes work, dude. I feel like we're about to blow this jogger up.
We got to shake.
Oh, we also only have 3 lug nuts on each wheel.
I can't. I really. It says it's shifting all the way up to third.
Interesting. What's our MPGs looking like, brother?
Next to nothing.
Oh, wonder why.
Things in limp mode.
Restart it.
I think the transmission is slipping up.
I'm pretty sure it's falling down.
I mean, it definitely seems like it wants to go into gear. So I think it's another problem.
It might be.
Get back and check the fluid again. It's shifting. I think it's just that this thing's...
It is in limp mode. Like 100%.
Yeah, because that's all the RPMs that are right there.
So obviously it's not gonna feel like it's shifting right or anything anyways.
That didn't feel great.
I wonder if it's got a busted axle. Or about to.
I don't know what that was. That was weird.
That was weird.
But like if I shut. See, yeah, it's definitely it's in limp mode somehow. Get up a little bit of speed. It's 100% in limp mode.
Oh my god! You can hear the wheels vibrating. You're good, my way.
I bet you my mother-in-law sitting on the couch in her house just like...
Oh my god, that was insane, dude.
like $70. It may still be a little
Boys just sit outside.
What are these idiots doing?
Oh my god! Oh no! I'm about to freak. Don't hit Wesley's car. Hit the tracks. Hey, there's our bumper cover.
Hey!
Well, first test drive. What'd you think?
Well, it has some issues. And it's a little bit warm. We did not have enough coolant in it, but it's okay. It's okay.
Hold on.
It's only 3/4. It's not hot yet. Okay, we'll be fine. But it definitely will shift through the gears. Fluid is good. The issue that we've got right now is this thing going into limp mode, which we have not figured out why. And another thing is they say that these transmissions don't really start showing a problem until they get up to operating temperature. So,
But we didn't let it get to operating temperature before we decided to have fun time with it, I reckon.
that's fair. That's fair. O2 circuit.
So that second O2 sensor, that's
Sensor
actually that's sitting right there.
Yep. So what we might do is give this thing some time to cool down, throw it in here, and then hook it up, and then try to drive it again, maybe a little less violently, and
Nah, that went bad.
well, and see if it keeps going into limp mode, because I think that is definitely what's limiting it. But I think the transmission may be okay.
It might. It did have that weird shake.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't understand. But my Focus did that too, though, and it also has a CVT transmission in it.
Yeah. So we'll know a little more once we can actually. I tortured it way more than I should have just then, but we'll know a little more once we can drive it and hopefully get it to stop going into limp mode. But I think it's just that O2 sensor. So I think we'll hook that up because it's showing sensor 2. which is the one that goes on the back of the motor, or toward the back of the motor on that second part of that pipe. So we'll get that figured out and get it hooked up. And I think we're gonna be all right. I think we're gonna have enough of a race car to go and play. I think we'll have a good time.
We were definitely throwing the term race car very loosely around here.
100%. But I think we're gonna be okay. I think we've got just what we need. I think we throw that in there. I think that's gonna take care of all of our issues. Obviously, if it doesn't, CJ is gonna be able to take a little bit of a deeper look and a deeper dive into this thing. But until it cools down, we're not gonna be able to throw that on and figure it out. So we're fixing to take a break for a little while. We'll get out here in a bit. It's 3 bolts to throw that thing on. So it's gonna be super easy. 3 bolts, plug it in, done. So we'll take care of that here in a little bit, and I think we're gonna be good. Well, guys, I have the Altima loaded on the trailer. I'm headed over to my buddy CJ. We're gonna throw this thing on the lift. He thinks he knows what's going on with the car. I told him which code it was throwing, and he said that it's possibly a transmission filter issue. But again, we have the spare transmission, so whatever we find tonight, we have options. We have the transmission sensor, we have the spare transmission, all of that stuff. So whatever we find tonight, we have ways of trying to negate the problem, as long as the stuff that we have negates the problem. If it ends up being further than that, I don't know what we're gonna do. We're gonna have to find some other workaround or something like that. So that's what we're doing now. Headed over to his place. We'll get this joker unloaded, get it on the lift, and we'll find out what we can find out and hope that it's not too bad. All right, got the car on the lift, got the pan off and drained. What are you thinking, CJ?
Well, what is that saying about Altimas?
I don't know.
Oh, they all need transmissions.
They all need transmissions. So the one that's in it had some pretty dark fluid. There was a lot of metal in the pan. Where'd you put the pan for this one? I'm not...
Right there on that one.
Yeah. So look right there. There's our little magnets. And I don't know if you can tell how shiny that is, but that's a lot of metal out of the one that was in the car. So we brought in the one that I actually bought to replace the one that's in the car. Got the pan off of that, and there is some metal in that also. So things are not well currently. So we kind of have a couple things we're going to try and hope for the best. I mean, this thing don't have to last long. It just needs to last like 60 laps.
As long as we're easy on it.
Yeah, and I mean, it's, I've been driving it around, so...
Look how good this looks.
Custom exhaust, brother.
Custom.
That was another thing. CJ said that he thinks that the whole limp mode thing was because this piece of pipe was gone, and I didn't realize there's another O2 sensor right up there. I didn't realize there were 3 on this car. So that could be part of our issue, but our transmission issue still remains to be solved. So we're going to be doing a couple of things real quick just to see what we can come up with, and hopefully we can make this beast live again.
Stay sensitive.
It's custom exhaust word here, bro.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna put a good video on.
Do it, son. All right, we got our custom exhaust done. We did not take our time on this to make it look good at all. We're in a hurry. The only thing we needed was something to run from here to here so that O2 sensor could get a reading, because CJ thinks that is the reason this thing's going into limp mode. So what we're going to do now is we're fixing to let it back down. We're going to scan it one more time. He's going to use his better scanner than the one that I've got so we can figure out what exactly is going on with the car. And then we're going to lift it back up. We're going to do some cleaning on the transmission, change out that one sensor, throw the pan back on, put some fluid back in this sucker. CJ said he thinks it's good enough. We're just going to send it. He said he's going to put some nitrous in it.
If we could.
If we could. That's slightly illegal for this race. But anyway, we're going to throw the fluid back in it. CJ said he thinks it's good enough. It was shifting yesterday. I think we got the car up to 65 or 70. And honestly, probably not going to get it up that fast, even at the Freedom Factory. So we're just going to throw fluid back in it and send it and hope for the best. If it doesn't last 60 laps, then I guess it just is what it is. But if it does, great. So I guess here in a few minutes, we'll find out exactly what we got going on. So maybe it'll work. I hope it works. Really hope it works. We'll see. All right, so we got the pan cleaned, got the filter cleaned, and we just filter up the fluid, back to crank it, let it run, see what the fluid level looks like. What you thinking, CJ?
We'll know here in just a minute, maybe.
We'll know here in a minute.
Hey, if we only have 1 or 2 gears and it lasts, I think we'll be good.
As long as it'll get up to speed,
And
I
stay
think
there,
we'll be fine.
we'll
Yeah.
be good.
Plus, we're about to hear it with exhaust for the first time. We'll find out if it'll go into limp mode. We're going to hope that it's not, but time will tell. We do have to clear the codes because it is still in limp mode. All right, guys, so I did not get to update y'all after we spent all that time working on the Altima, servicing the transmission. Things were far worse after the fact than they were before. So the thing will barely even move now. So did a little bit of searching, found Pick and Pull has one of the cars out here that had front end damage. So looks pretty good. We're hoping that the transmission is still in it. It's exactly what we need. And we know that because it has front end damage, it was driving when the damage occurred. So the transmission would be good. So we're out here walking around Pick and Pull. We're gonna see if we can find this thing, and we're gonna pray that the transmission's still in it. And if it is, we're gonna be in good shape. Well, there's our car. CV axle's laying on the ground, and the transmission is gone. So that's not good. So we've been running around for a few minutes just snatching transmission pans off of all these other Altimas, and every one of them are either full of metal, full of parts, or the fluid's all going out of them. So not okay taking a risk on those, especially for the cost of the part. But I did do a little bit of research, and I know I'd said that they were compatible from 2007 to 2009, but I'm reading that a lot of guys have done the swap from 2007 to 2012, but you would have to swap the transmission control module. So that did open our options just a little bit. So we're kind of walking around looking at some of these other cars, just checking fluids and things like that, and hoping we can find something that's reliable, that looks good. But we're running out of options, which is really, really unfortunate. And I don't know if we're going to be able to make this happen. And it kind of upsets me at this point, honestly, because we've worked hard. We've looked for a lot of parts. We've put in a lot of effort to try to make this happen. So if we don't find one today, it's over with. So here's hoping. I don't know. I'll update you guys here in a few. All right, guys. So we have spent about 3 hours walking around this yard. We have dropped countless pans on these Altimas, and every one of them have junk in the pan, whether it be big pieces, small pieces. There's just metal everywhere. Gabriel was walking around taking a look at things, and you're not gonna believe we found the transmission out of our wrecked car on the ground in the middle of the yard. Everything looks good. Somebody did take the valve body and the torque converter off of it. So all of that's gone, but we have that'll be good enough for this weekend. I took the pan off, looked inside, everything looks clean. I'm taking a chance on it, hoping that it's good. I don't know. I did take it back to the other car. Everything plugs up and it looks right. So I may be dead wrong. I looked up what numbers I could find. Everything points toward it being a Nissan and going in an Altima. So taking it up front, we're gonna compare it to the core transmission that I brought to leave with them, and then we'll just have to go from there. But hopefully it's the same. I know this one has an oil cooler on the front, but mine doesn't. So I don't know. I think we can make this work. I think this is it. Good sign. All right, guys, so I went with my gut, went ahead and bought the transmission at Pick and Pull. We believe it's going to be a good one, but we won't know until we get it in the car, which CJ has went ahead and got a head start on. He started pulling some of this stuff apart. There's a lot of stuff to take out. The whole front end has to come out, and, well, it all has to drop out the bottom. Transmission has to come out, and then we'll be able to swap it over. So we got a lot of work to do, several hours. How long do you think it's going to take, CJ?
Oh, we'll be done in like 3 or 4 hours.
I'm gonna say at minimum 1 hour.
5 minutes at least.
Oh, are you doing it?
Yeah. So
at least.
we've got a lot of work ahead. It's going to take us a little while, but I do feel pretty confident in this transmission. CJ took a look at it. He seems to think that it might serve us a little bit better than everything else we've had so far. So we're going to get to work. Hopefully have this thing dropped out here in just a little bit and get ready to swap the new one in. And hopefully we'll be driving this thing. I'm feeling good. Transmission we bought yesterday was not the right transmission. It turns out that's from a 2013, which absolutely will not work in this car. But we went and picked up one final transmission. This is the last option that we have. But I will say this is the cleanest one as far as the pan goes that we have looked at yet. So it's really, really stressful at this moment. This is the one that is going to make or break our appearance at the Altima 600 at the Freedom Factory this weekend. So we're getting ready to put this thing in. I'm feeling okay about it after we look at the fluid, which, I felt good about this one yesterday, and we see how that turned out. But this is the correct transmission. All the hookups are exactly the same. I knew what to look at after Chris looked at it last night and kind of pointed out a couple of things. So this transmission should be fine as long as the transmission itself is good. Had clean fluid in it, no metal in the pan, not much clutch material in the pan, anything like that. So I think we'll be okay. All that's left to do is put it in it, put some fluid in, and then try to drive this thing and hope that it performs well enough to at least get us through the weekend. So we're a couple hours away from knowing, so we're going to go ahead and get to work, get this joker thrown in here. Hopefully we've got a running driving car. I don't know what else to say. It's just, here's hoping. All right, guys, transmission is in. TCM has been changed. Fluid is
full right now, so we should crank it up, cycle it, put it in gear a few times, and see if she's gonna work or not.
How you feeling?
I think it's gonna work. I got hopes we're gonna come down there, beat everybody.
I hope so. Because we have been through now. Like, this is the 4th transmission we have been in possession of. And I can only hope that this son of a gun works, because this right here, what we find out in the next, 5 minutes, is going to determine whether we make the Altima event this weekend or not. And I have huge, huge hopes, because I really want to go and play this weekend. I feel like it'll be a blast. I feel like it'll be a good opportunity to meet a lot of people. And there's just a lot riding on this. So we're about to crank this joker up, let it warm up. We're going to cycle the gears. All I can do is hope. So I guess we'll see. All right, let's go ahead and crank this joker up. See what we got. Car started. Get it warmed up. And then we'll start cycling through the gears. Figure out what we got. And I hope this joker goes into gear and works, man. I hope. Well, we cycled the gears. What we got?
Hey, so far, it's turning. We got reverse, we got drive. We're going to air some tires up. We're going to take it up the road.
Oh, dude. I'm so nervous right now, and I know I really shouldn't be, but I'm so scared that something's going to go wrong. It's going to be fine. It's going to be fine, right? No. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. So it's going in reverse, going into drive, and all of that, but we are getting some weird shaking in the front end. It feels like something's binding up. We can't figure out quite what that is. It almost feels like it's a CV axle binding up, but when we put it in neutral and we spin everything on its own, we spin everything by hand, it's not doing the same thing. But I will say this thing's been sitting for a long time. Maybe something's just not lubricated like it needs to be. I have no idea. This whole CVT thing is a whole new thing for me. So we're adding a little bit of fluid, checking it. It's, trying to cycle everything, trying to get everything going. And it's getting a little bit better, so we're hoping that it clears itself up once we kind of get everything lubricated and moving. So we won't really know for a little bit, but we're going to keep messing with it. We'll find out here in a few minutes, and hopefully we'll be going on a test drive. All right, I'm going to let CJ put this thing in reverse, try to back it up so you guys can see exactly what it's doing. We're going to figure this out, but it's going into gear great. So that's what makes me think maybe it's not a transmission issue, but it's just, I don't know, something is extremely weird. Let's see what it does. That is awful. Okay. Let's not do that anymore. Well, things are not looking good for the final time. We did find out, though, that Chris put together one of the CV axles that were sitting beside the car, so it had come apart. So we were kind of thinking maybe the CV axle was binding up, but looking at it under the car, it seems solid. We're going to pull it and check it, but in order to do that, we do have to drain the fluid because the fluid is coming out of the hole where the axle is. So we're going to drain the fluid and drop the pan and check on that just because we can do that real quick and easy. May as well. So we're dropping the pan right now. We're going to take a look in it, and then that will tell us the tale of what actually is going on. If it's full of metal, we know we've got other problems, and we will just be out for the count, unfortunately. So it is what it is. I hate it, but, it it happens like that on occasion, but we'll check it out and see. Well, the pan is off. Bad news.
It's not looking good.
It's not looking good. Let's just take a little gander at the inside of the pan. It is not supposed to look like that.
Man, and we had high hopes.
I had high hopes, brother. This transmission was in better shape from what we could tell than any of them that were in the yard or any of the yards that we looked at. And this is what we've ended up with. I can't lie to you guys. I try to be optimistic all the time. I try to be as upbeat and happy as possible, but I am extremely defeated at this moment. It has been a week and a half of just extreme hard work trying to get this thing ready and trying to make this event. But I guess it just wasn't in the cards for us this time. We have checked probably 15 different transmissions, pulling pans, pulling transmissions out of cars, taking looks at them, and we've just not been able to find a good one. So it is definitely obvious that the CVT transmission in the Nissans are absolute trash. Okay,
100%.
They're garbage. I will never own a CVT transmission Altima, ever. So I know they say never, but I will never buy one of these because I know that this is a problem. Because I hate that it turned out like this. I had extremely high hopes that we were going to be able to make this thing work out and be able to make the Altima 600 event this weekend. It's bad news for us, good news for Cleetus. I'm just saying, brother, you got lucky on this one because I was coming for you. Maybe next time. But guys, as always, I appreciate you guys tuning in. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you check out that one right there. YouTube thinks that's going to be the best thing for you to watch next. And hit that subscribe button so you guys don't miss anything. We got a lot of videos coming up. I hate things didn't work out. That's fine. We'll just go drag racing. We'll catch you guys on the next one. Deuces.